Good evening and welcome to Sports Unleashed Series 3 Episode 10 live from Oxford Downs Cricket Club in Stanlake. We thank them very much for being able to use their studio as we do week in, week out. Wherever you are in your stately homes, your mansions, your sheds, wherever you are, welcome to Sports Unleashed this quite mild Thursday evening, actually. Plenty on the show tonight, actually. We've got a great interview with Oxford Saints head coach Greg Kennedy, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up a little bit later. Lots of Oxford City news, lots of cricket, and of course the normal Chinner rugby as well, and with all our fixture focus and roundups and league tables and results where you can't get anywhere else. And one thing I forget to say probably at this time is, you know, we don't ask you to like and subscribe our channel very often, and I've been thinking that we've been getting a few new subscribers of late, but it would be great if you could get anyone in your family, get the Christmas spirit going early on this Christmas Jumper National Day. That's why I've got this on.
I wondered why.
Well, it wasn't for a bet.
No.
Well, it might have been.
And you lost.
And I lost, obviously, yeah. But yes, you know, please do get your family, your friends, whoever it is, work colleagues to like and subscribe. They don't have to watch us. No. The reason we started doing this is to try and monetize the channel, to actually put some money back into grassroots sports, and that's what we're here to do. So although we have a great lot of fun doing this show and learn a lot about new sports and quirky sports from around our county, we do seriously want to put something back into grassroots sports. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. That would be very much appreciated. Colin?
Yeah, first up tonight, we've got highlights of Oxford City's 5-1 demolition of Darlington, followed by Andy Gate chatting to hat-trick hero DJ Sturridge. And then we hear from assistant manager Andy Ballard, long-term hero of mine down at Oxford City, to hear what he had to say about that fantastic win. But here are the football highlights first.
Well, straight away, DJ Captain Sturridge gets the ball, turns around, and City could be working their way up the line here. Ewan Clark has beaten the offside trap. He's two odds the byline, pulls the ball back to McEachran, who's in space. Over to Ashby. Ashby, chance, goal! Oxford City take the lead after just 2 minutes. It's not a match ball, by the way. Oh, and that goes down. Is that going to be a penalty? Well, it was a rather soft one, but I thought he had every chance there that could have been a penalty. But here comes DJ Captain Sturridge all the way down the other side of the pitch. He cuts onto his left. Can he still find a shot at goal? Captain Sturridge still going. Here's Clark. His shot blocked. Comes out to McEachran! Oxford City double their lead! And just after Darlington thought they should have had a penalty. Another ball down the left. Darlington can't deal with Oxford City at the moment. Here's Zach McEachran, cuts onto his right. Mazy run, goes onto his left, darts to the byline. McEachran still going. McEachran! Jameson sticks out a leg, makes a great save, bounces out. Sturridge! Oxford City have made it 3! DJ Captain Sturridge runs to the corner flag. On in line with the edge of the box here. This ball needs to be good from Darlington. McGowan, left-footed ball in, headed in! And Darlington have got one back. And there's another chance for Darlington to come forward. Picked apart, McEachran, and Sturridge is in here. Sturridge, can he get Oxford City 3 goals ahead again? Sturridge! He scores! He runs in and he dinks Peter Jameson! It's been DJ Sturridge's game today! And this one is definitely going long because there's no one near the man. It bounces, Sturridge there. Brilliant, holds off his man superbly, helps it out to the right where Humphrey Ewers is. Sturridge, he wants the ball, it's floated into the path. What a ball by Humphrey Ewers. Sturridge again, chips the goalkeeper, that's got to be a penalty. It is! Oxford City have a penalty. On top of the cake for Oxford City if they were to score. DJ Captain Sturridge waits for the whistle, it goes. Sturridge, he's still not started his run up, now he does, steps up against Jameson. Hat-trick for DJ Sturridge! His first start in almost so long.
would have been nice to keep a clean sheet, but look, the boys have worked really hard this afternoon. I think we got the rewards. It's been coming. We've worked really hard in the last few weeks in training to be organised, to be front-footed, to try and go and score goals, and today we did. Like you said, Darlington are on a good run of form, and to score 5 at home against them is really pleasing.
Good, yeah, really happy. First of all, we got to let them know you asked me to hold this. I'm not being in here. I've been asked to hold this match ball, but no, yeah, really happy, but couldn't have done it without the team, so yeah, happy. Yeah, could have been more than 5, but obviously that's on a perfect day. Not everybody's going to be able to take all their chances, but from defence to attack, it wasn't just us attackers or myself. We wouldn't have been able to do it if the midfield and defence wasn't as good as they were, so yeah, it was a really good joint effort today.
So it's DJ Sturridge there, the hat-trick hero. Before that's Andy Ballard chatting to Andy Gate, the media manager down at Oxford City. Word out to them, they're still in the relegation zone, so there's still much work to do, and it's very tight down there. I think we said on the podcast that something like about 5 teams within 3 points of each other at the wrong end of the table. Yeah. So, it's a very, very, very tight league to be in there. So, meanwhile, the youth were in action too, weren't they, down at City?
They were in action, actually at Loftus Road. They went to play QPR in round 2 of the FA Youth Cup, and obviously a big occasion for the youngsters of Oxford City, the Hoops versus the Hoops, and we've got some highlights of that game now with our intrepid reporter Patrick Lock.
After beating Waltham and Hersham in the second round, Oxford City's youth side had a huge reward with a game at Loftus Road in the FA Youth Cup third round to face QPR under-18s. If a trip to a championship ground wasn't enough, an added bonus was the knowledge that the winner would face a Premier League side at home in the next round, with a tie against Tottenham Hotspur or Brighton drawn just a few days prior. The game started, well, I'd love to tell you, but the London traffic made this reporter a few minutes late, and while walking up the stairs into the stand, QPR scored to make it 1-0. The Hoops, well, the Oxford City version, were well in the game at 1-0 and caused their opponents issues in the first half, and this was particularly the case when Karen Bittencourt de Oliveira was felled in the box, the young striker dusting himself down to make no mistake in putting his side level. That saw City go in level at the break and maybe just dreaming of an upset and bringing a Premier League giant to Court Place Farm in a few weeks' time. While City remained in the game early in the second half, the reality of playing a full-time Football League academy came to the front the further the game got into that period. QPR were able to bring on more energy, particularly up front, and 3 quick-fire goals early in the second half took the stuffing out of City. City were dealt a blow as their bright spark in Cowan went off injured, and after really holding their own for 70 minutes, the Hoops, this time the QPR version, really took control of the game and scored a 5th for their troubles. Over the 90 minutes, the young City side certainly didn't disgrace themselves and gave an excellent account to themselves, really going toe-to-toe with QPR for well over an hour. It's the end of another memorable campaign though for the Hoops, who have progressed through 5 rounds to face the Championship side in QPR, with them now going on to face a big tie against Spurs or Brighton. This has been Patrick Lock on site at Loftus Road. Now back to the studio for some more Oxsports Unleashed.
Thanks there to Locksmith getting that out to us, because that was last night, that game, and a bit of a shame the Hoops falling to the 5-1 defeat, but good that they got to the second round, and good for the youngsters to play in that sort of game against the academy side, all good. I'm just going to take you back, because I heard you say on the Oxford City seniors game that Andy Ballard was a hero of yours.
Well, yeah, because he's one of these guys that's played almost every position for Oxford City, except goalkeeper. I'm pretty sure when I interviewed him a while back when he was actually playing, coming towards the end of his career, that then he went on to try his hand. I think he went to Didcot as a manager before Jamie Heapy. Come back down to City, and he's been there for now 4, 5, 6 years. Different managers. He's Mr. Reliable, okay, on the pitch and behind the dugout as well. So he's just one of these guys that is the lifeblood, like Daz was last week, of local non-league football. So for me, he's one of the good guys in local football. Yeah,
it's a good point actually. If you haven't watched last week's show with Daz King as our guest last week from Didcot Town, please go along to our YouTube channel. And you can see that down there, Lock Ryde's Football Roundup podcast has all that information through last week's results. It is a really good roundup, loads of interviews and lots of information about the local football that happened last week. So do get along to Spotify and please listen to that. It's a good listen. Colin.
Right, what have we got next? We've got Banbury United next. Kelvin Langme's side have been up and down. I think they're suddenly sort of realising that they've been in a fair few number of games recently. So and they came up with a bit of a lacklustre performance at the weekend, 2-0 defeat to Redditch. And here is Dave England chatting afterwards to Kelvin Langmead.
Banbury United's recent good form has seen them climb back up the table and currently sit in 10th position. But on Saturday they travelled to a Redditch United side sitting just outside the playoffs. The Puritans enjoyed a nightmare start and found themselves behind inside 3 minutes when Fabian Reynolds' shot from a corner was deflected past Jack Harding. At the top of the M40, Redditch is probably one of the closer trips that Banbury will have in the Southern Premier Central. The host started the game the brighter of the two sides and created a few chances, but despite being second best early on, the visitors did carve out a couple of chances, this curling effort from George Ball perhaps causing the keeper a moment of alarm as it headed goalwards. But the host pressure paid off and a second goal came on the break. This perfectly weighted ball just beat the final Banbury man to allow Reynolds a clear run on goal, and he made no mistake in taking the ball around Harding for his second of the game. Banbury improved after the break, however the host limited them mostly to half chances. Chris Ray looked perhaps most likely, but this effort on the turn proved harmless in their attempt to salvage something from the game.
Your thoughts on today's game?
Just a really flat performance. We sort of dropped our levels last week, but got away with it a little bit, really, which to play poorly and win isn't always the worst thing. We've played better and lost, but we sort of carried that into today, and 2 really poor goals. We sort of gave them up. They didn't really have to work hard for them, and so I was really, really disappointed with how we started the game. Like I say, it just felt a bit flat, but we were better second half, as we have been in previous spells in this season, but got no fruits for our labour. So just overall just really disappointed. Just a really flat performance, nowhere near ourselves. And we need to find a way back to how we had been through most of November.
Thanks to Patrick Lott for putting the highlights package together. Also to Dave England for that chat with the Banbury United manager Kelvin Langmead. Talking after that defeat, they've got a bit of time out now to try and address a few walking wounded and give the players a bit of time out. But as I say, they are mid-table, and I'm sure they want to get a few more points on the board as soon as they possibly can. Meanwhile, back to you, Woodsy.
Yeah, I'll just keep bringing up on things. You get off air there, you gave me some information about Kelvin Langmead there, of his sort of career and how he went about things. That was quite interesting. I don't know if you want
Yeah, well, he when I first started watching and commentating with Kieran Bushnell on Banbury United games, he was a central defender. But he also, when we interviewed him, said that he could go up front as well. A bit like Jefferson Louis, who only hung up his boots finally back in this summer. And you've found that quite often. There's a player called The Beast who went from a central defensive role in Oxford United to becoming a striker for Leicester about, 10, 15 years ago. So it's not an uncommon thing to find someone being pitched up front, when you're desperate, certainly at corners of things, to become a defender or an itinerant striker, as it were. So, Kelvin can play deadly at both ends of the pitch. There you go. And behind the dugout too. And in the
dugout. Again, I keep saying, this show brings us some great information, with Colin and Kieran's knowledge of local sport. It's really good. So, I'd like to share those sort of anecdotes with you. But that takes us to our normal fixture focus with Lock Ryde, or as I like to call them, Baz and Keezy.
What have local football fans got to look forward to this coming weekend in your football focus, fixture focus, I should say?
Yes, indeed. And the weekend kicks off slightly early this weekend. An early kickoff for Oxford United in the Championship. They host Preston North End. 12:30 kickoff at the Kassam Stadium on Saturday. No game at all for Oxford City this weekend. It was FA Trophy weekend, and after their exit a couple of weeks ago, means that they don't have a game this weekend. Banbury United, they host Needham Market on Saturday in the Southern League Premier Central at the Spencer Stadium, powered by Egg, which I always think is a really interesting stadium name this year. Made me chuckle, I have to say, when I heard it first time at the start of the season.
Egg or eggnog?
Just Egg.
Oh, right, yeah.
It is a company. It's not just randomly powering it by Egg or
yeah.
anything. Not some random new power source they found. But yeah, it made me laugh. But yeah, that's coming up for anyone that fancies a trip up to Banbury on Saturday. Tame United, they're on the road. They head to Ware in Southern League Division 1 Central. Ware is one of my favourite teams because I remember going to watch they got played in the playoff final a few years ago when they got promoted, and they played Ware at home. Walking to the ground, and someone who was walking their dog said, "Who are they playing today?" And someone said, "Where?" And she was like, "No, I'm asking you, who are they playing today?"
Yeah, good one.
Nice. That was a good one. It made me chuckle that. Anyway, sorry, just to get myself back on track. And it is Didcot Town who are next. Actually, they're at home this weekend. They host Porterheads Town in the Division 1 South. So that's what's coming up on Saturday. And to quickly look at Sunday. Oxford United, they got their FA Women's Cup third round tie. They host Plymouth Argyle at Court Place Farm. About the third time they've played them in a few weeks. So yeah, that'll be a competitive game, I'm sure. Abingdon United, they host Bournemouth Sports at the North Course in the Women's National League Division 1 South West. Finally, Oxford City, they are on the road. They head to Sholing in the Southern Region Women's Football League Premier. And that is all what's coming up this weekend, Colin.
Thanks there to Lock Ryde or Baz and Keezy. Thank you for Fixture Focus, something you don't get anywhere else. And I have to say at this point, again, go across to Spotify and listen to the Lock and Ryde's Football Roundup podcast on Spotify, as I said. New episode each week, around about 25 minutes. Good chance to, when you're on the way to work, on the train, give it a listen, because it does give you all the information you require about the local football from last week. So please do that. Well, I had the pleasure of catching up last Friday morning, this reporter, hark at me, with Oxford Saints head coach, American football, Greg Kennedy. And he had this to say about his love of American football and Oxford Saints generally.
You didn't wear that jumper down there, did you?
No.
Interview? Oh, no. Good. I'm glad about that. Okay, interview.
Welcome to Ox Sports Unleashed. I'm pleased to be joined by Oxford Saints head coach Greg Kennedy. Thanks for joining us, Greg, on this cold and very frosty morning. But thanks for giving up your time to speak to Ox Sports Unleashed. I've always said when we do our little interviews on our humble little show is we'd like to get to know the people we're interviewing. So can you give us a little bit of a background of Greg Kennedy?
Thanks, Darryl. Thanks very much for inviting me on and giving us a chance to talk about the Saints and American football to your audience. I've been here since 2000. I came over from Canada and I work for King's College London. So I'm a history professor with them, and I teach out at the Defence Academy site in Shrivenham. So I teach the military and the MOD on different courses and have done for the last 25 years. And been working with the Oxford Saints since 2013. So that's getting up to be over a dozen years now. Apparently, time flies.
And you, presumably, we always had a love of the sport. So was it just an easy thing to get into over here, or was it quite a difficult sort of transition, if you like?
Well, when I came over, I didn't really realize you had American football here. So, I mean, I grew, you grow up with, in Western Canada, my team from my province, we are the national champions this year. So it's a big deal. Canadian football. Canadian football's slightly different, but the same kind of idea. And so you grow up with it and hockey are the two sports. And so yeah, you play it as a school child from the age of about 7. You play it as a flag sport, which has come over here now because of its introduction into the Olympics. So obviously flag is something that's picking up speed here. And the nice thing about flag football is that, there's no contact. So that means that a wider range of people can participate. And as well, it's not as expensive because, of course, you don't have to buy all of the equipment that goes with it. So it's a very good way to get people into the sport, to be able to learn, understand the rules, understand the system, because it's quite an intricate sport in many ways. So you start at that level, and then when you get to be about 13, 14, you start to play high school level contact football. And then after that, either you go to university and play university football, or college, kind of like the British university system here for the universities and colleges, the Buck system. But it's not all attached to universities and colleges either. There's also a kind of what you would call community leagues in different provinces. So there's different layers. The thing about the football here that we play is that in many ways, once you've finished your career playing at the college, university, that local level, then there's nothing else. So at about 24, 25 years old, that can be the end of your career. Unless, of course, you went professional. So there's no intermediate level. Whereas here, we have players from the age of 18 to 50. And that's, that is much more compatible to, say, what we call old-timer hockey, recreational hockey, where everybody will play until you can't skate anymore, really, and different levels of contact and things like that. But here it's very unique in that sense. In North America, there really isn't a full adult contact recreational league like there is here. So it's been great being involved with the Saints for the last 12 years. So yeah, it's good.
Thanks there to Greg Kennedy. It was a really insightful morning last Friday. Thank him for his time. That's part 1 of the interview. Part 2 will be shown next week in our final show, our Xmas special. Hopefully we've got some special guests coming in, and it'll probably be a longer show than normal. We don't have to waffle through the league tables possibly, but please join us on that. The great chance, as it's already on the screen, to say if you want to get involved, want to send us any clips from your sport or any interviews, any incidents that may have happened, any comical things as well, please send it to us at that address at oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. That's oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. That way, is it?
You get a drift. Thank you very much.
Please do send it. We'd be pleased to hear from you. And also, if you want to be part of this group, we've had 1 or 2 people come through here and want to produce and report and do some camera work. So please do get in contact with us, because we would love to hear from you to add to our team. We're all volunteers, and all the help we can get would be appreciated. So our thanks. But yeah, please you tune in next week to a special show, Christmas special, and that part 2 of that interview with Greg Kennedy, because it's well worth a listen. And it's fascinating, American football. It's a sport, again, I don't know much about. So really good to get some insight into Oxford Saints. And he'll tell us a little bit more how Oxford Saints are doing and where they are for 2026. So a really good insight into what they're proposing to do. They did get promoted last year. He'll mention that. So, exciting times for Oxford Saints going forward. So, please do join us next week for that.
Right.
Same shape ball, Colin.
Same shape ball, similar sort of game, but not quite as Chinner continue to do pretty well, but so they came a cropper this weekend, defeated by Nottingham at home on Friday. Narrow defeat, 6-11. Very wet, as you'll see next in this following clip.
Chinna's 4-game winning streak came to an end as they were beaten in the low-scoring thriller by Nottingham last Friday. It was a wet and windy evening at Kingsley Road as Chinna welcomed the Archers in the 9th round of the RFU Championship. The first half was scrappy as the players struggled in the conditions. A Chinna line-out in the 8th minute didn't come to fruition for the hosts, followed by a knock-on shortly after, scuppering their plans to snatch an early lead. Nottingham gradually worked their way into control, winning the territorial battle and forcing repeated pressure inside the Chinna half. After a string of phases, the visitors earned the first real scoring chance of the match, and they made no mistake. The penalty from Gwyn Park sailing through the posts to give Nottingham a 3-0 lead. In a bruising first 40, opportunities were few and far between. The visitors were the only points on the board at the halfway stage.
Well, we end the first half with a moment typical of the 40 minutes that we have seen.
Chinna came out firing after the interval and were awarded a penalty after just 2 minutes, with George Warboys comfortably kicking through the post to level the scores as the rain continued to fall in South Oxfordshire. But the deadlock didn't last long. Nottingham struck with the only try of the match. The driving maul followed a line-out, but did the ball touch the ground? The referees came together and awarded the visitors 5 valuable points.
Yes, and given.
A tricky position on the best of days. Nottingham were unable to convert the try, with heavy winds carrying the ball away from the posts and further infield. However, the penalty kick to follow for the Archers was much more regulation.
Parks perfectly dissects.
Another penalty came Chinna's way, with Warboys once again making no mistake to bring them within a try of Nottingham with 8 minutes left to play.
It's over.
A line-out followed, but the Archers took control, with Chinna out of time to mount a comeback on a difficult night for both sides, with Nottingham coming out victors by 11 points to 6. Chinna remained 7th in the Championship and travelled to Cambridge at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Back to the studio for much more Ox Sports Unleashed.
Thank you to Clubber TV for those clips, highlights of Chinna. And next up, they travel to Cambridge, 2 o'clock kick-off there this coming Saturday. Back to you, Woodsy.
Yeah, Wes is putting some good stuff together on Chinna.
Yeah.
He's doing some good voiceovers, so we thank Wes for doing that as well. And that takes us to our local cricketers that have been plying their trade elsewhere away from the UK in this winter. We start as normal with Lindsay Smith, and her team, Hobart Hurricanes, are going to be the hosts actually of the WBBL final, and they are in that final. Opponents yet to be announced, but she has taken 13 wickets at 20.69 with an economy rate of 7.79. So has had an incredible competition again, as she did in the World Cup for England. So Lindsay is on fire at the moment during this winter, that's for sure. So we're really pleased, ex-Oxfordshire girl through our Oxfordshire pathway and EPP is doing so well, and it's really, really good to see. And we're hoping that we might get an interview with Lindsay in the coming weeks. So I'll keep my fingers crossed there. And Ben Charlesworth also has been away and had a successful game, got 64 in 55 balls versus the Pecora Avengers. That's Matt Taylor's side, and they did win by 13 runs. Unfortunately, Matt Taylor wasn't playing. I think he's injured, so he's not been playing of late. So we wish him a speedy recovery and continue good luck for Ben and obviously for Lindsay in that WBBL final. That would be amazing if she could add that to her tally, and another medal from what she's done in the 100, etc. So really, really pleased to see that. Now, our intrepid reporter, Blake Bint, went to have an interview with Graham Charlesworth, all done on Zoom, of course. And there's been a bit of an issue with the Oxford University, and the UCC funding has now been cut by the ECB. So Graham was asked how that's affected the Oxford Brookes and the Oxfordshire University. And we've got this little clip, which is a bit of a teaser for coming weeks.
it's a shame that link's been broken after all this time. And I'm a bit biased because I've seen how the system works pretty well in so many cases. But I'm not sure. I feel a bit sorry for I feel a bit sad that the game of cricket, the governing body have not really I think they realise how important it has been, but they've just they can do what they like, but they've chosen to not invest in it anymore. So that's, we're not 100% sure why that is, but it's a model that's I think done well over the years, and it's sad for us, and it's sad for the players who are aspiring to play cricket and aspiring to get a further education, get degrees, get qualified. That's always been a good situation for players to have that qualification.
Well, thanks to Charlie there, Graham Charlesworth and Blake Bint for that little teaser for an interview coming up in the coming weeks, and obviously that disappointment for them on the funding cut from the ECB. So it will be interesting. They will still be playing their games, and Graham Charlesworth will still be head coach. So look out for that in the coming weeks, probably in the new year. Well, you never know, it might be on our Christmas special. Please do stay tuned for that, because it will be another good insight into what's happening there, and hopefully everything will sort itself out and some good cricket will be played. And that takes us back to football and our normal roundup of our league tables. And that normally starts with Oxford United, doesn't it, Colin?
Does indeed. So they are still perilously floating around, too close for comfort to the relegation zone. Early kick-off this Saturday coming up, 12:30 kick-off against Preston North End. So hopefully we can get a few more points on the board. Now they are still very tight down there, you can see. So a couple of wins will put them up the table, but a loss again could put them back in the relegation zone. Woodsy.
Yeah, it's a shame that they did lose to Swansea, wasn't it? That was a big killer. After Oxford City's good win against Darlington last week, did make them go one place up, it's still in the relegation zone, unfortunately. But as you can see, it is quite tight there. If they did put a little bit of a run together, they could get up to 17th, 16th in that league quite quickly. They have played a few more games. That's the only danger.
Rugby United started that loss. They are still 12th. They've got a bit of a break now to try and recuperate and push on again.
Into the Southern Football League Division 1 Central, and Tame United around about mid-table, 12th again, very similar to Banbury. They've played 18 games. They've won half of them, and sitting pretty there with 28 points.
Didcot Town, they do like the West Country. I went down there, got a win, but they are 15th. And again, I think they've got a little bit of a break again themselves to recuperate and push on again.
We're just keeping our eyes peeled for Where's Wally for this week.
So I can't see, it all looks kosher to me for the moment, yes?
Yes,
doesn't it?
it's all good. Ardley have dropped down a place. I think their game was called off for a waterlogged pitch last week, I think, or frozen pitch. But they've only played 18 games, and with 41 points, they're in a real strong position. Wallingford and Crowmarsh just below them in third with 40 points. And then also sitting pretty, Milton United and Kidlington 8th and 9th, respectively, with 32 and 30 points. That's in the Cherry Red Records Combined Counties Football League Premier Division North, because I like saying that.
You do, don't you? Yeah. And towards the other end of the table, Aberdeen United 13th and Northley on 18th. Going back to the thing about Ardley having games in hand, we chatted about this before, certainly with Paul Lyne, when he was part of the team. He was saying that the league will not extend the league, to cope with a pile-up of fixtures, because that has impacts on players' contracts and things, and costs clubs a lot more money. So while in theory it looks okay that Ardley got games in hand, the reality is that they're going to have a fixture pile up at some point. So, and that's
tricky.
That's going to be tricky for part-time players. So let's hope they can put a few more points on the board.
In the GCE, Higher Fleet United Counties League Premier South, Easington Sports just dipping in form a little bit, 19 points, just 2 places above the relegation zone there. Good to see Budbrook St Michael's at the bottom there.
Okay. Wantage Town, top. Look at that. Played 18, I know, goal difference 28, 38 points there. Again, it's still tough at the top, and Bewdley, you can see, have got a game in hand, as have FC Stratford. So, you know, but to be there, I think is a great, but I think people do say you don't win anything at half time. You certainly don't win anything at this time of the year, but they are top of the table as things stand.
Yeah, and further down in Division 1 there, Carterton in 14th place with 16 points. Got 3 games in hand of the side ahead of them, so hopefully a couple of wins there will get them up that table. Clanfield 85 have dropped down into the relegation zone with 12 points after their 18 games, and Tame United Reserves still bottom with their 4 points.
The Women's National League, Oxford United ladies are at 6th at the moment, 17 points. And in the Women's National League, Division 1 Southwest, Aberdeen United in 5th place with 17 points. Swindon Town top. Sorry, shame my allegiance there. Right, Women's Football League Premier South, Oxford City, 7th with 12 points.
Nice to see them getting, up the table a little bit after their cup exploits and stuff. Well, Wes, you need a pay rise. Didn't see any blemishes.
No, I think
no blemishes. I'm quite disappointed actually. I was looking for that little nugget that we could have a go.
I think last week we had one. I think Wallingford and Crowmarsh got 55 draws.
55 draws.
He
they've done well.
It wasn't a deliberate mistake. He had generally just fat fingers on his keyboard.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
You go. Well done, Wes.
Yeah, well done, Wes. Good stuff. Like I say, we can't do this show without the likes of Wes Spearman, Blake Bint, Patrick Locke, Kieran Bushnell, who puts together the results for us, and obviously Colin as well. So, it is a group of volunteers putting this together for your enjoyment, and hopefully you get as much as you possibly can. So if you, again, want to send us any clips or you want to get involved with Ox Sports Unleashed, send it to us or send us an email at oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got any comments, if you want to see us do anything or want to include something else on the show, please do get in contact. We will listen to you because we want to make this as enjoyable as we possibly can. So please do. oxsportsunleashed@gmail.com. Well, from the league tables, we normally go into the results, and my favourite bop of the week. Our thanks to Kieran Bushnell and Wes Spearman for putting this together. But it's the results that you can't get anywhere else on the screen for you now. Yeah, as I say, our thanks to Kieran Bushnell for putting those together and Wes Spearman for jazzing it up for us. And again, you can't get that anywhere else. So, it's a good feature that we try and do each week for you. So it's just like the podcast, if you want to hear all the news from around the county for football, please do go to Spotify and listen to that podcast with Lock Ryde. It's well worth a listen. Well, we're coming up quite close to the end of the show, but we have mentioned darts in the last week, and Shane Turner, as we've seen there, we spoke about plying their trade on the big screen while our usual producer Patrick Lock is away watching the first day of the Ali Pali World Championships. Typical, part-timer.
Yeah.
He wasn't on this show much tonight, was he, really? No. Didn't do a lot.
Left his mark.
But Abingdon's Shane Turner played in the second round of the Amateur Global Championships, where he topped his group in a deciding game against fellow Oxfordshire thrower Stuart Dutton. He will now play in the finals day in January for a chance of £60,000.
That's a good win, isn't it?
Vista's Sean Holly plays later this week in a hope to join him in the quarter-final. Well, we really hope both of those do really well, and they come back with
60 grand.
60 grand.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That does just about wrap things up for this week, but be remiss of me to say it's going to be our Christmas special next week, and then we'll be off air for a good probably 3 or 4 weeks before we come back in the new year. So please do join us on our Christmas special. We hope to have some guests. We hope to have some fun, and all our usual bits and bobs that we put together for you. So please join us live again at 8 o'clock next week. What are you thinking, Colin? Good show?
Yeah, good show. Thanks to Blake Bint. He's his first flying solo.
Really nervous, wasn't he?
He was a bit
really nervous.
Yeah, behind the desk there. There's if you were able to point the camera in the opposite direction, there's so many wires falling out all over the place. I think that looks like Wurzel Gummidge has been in a fight, doesn't it? Everything hanging out there. But anyway,
we probably find that we haven't gone live at all.
No, I think we have. But thank you very much indeed to Blake Bint and everybody else that's contributed this evening, and to you indeed for watching the show as well, whether you're watching it live or on YouTube as a catch-up.
Yeah, well said, Colin. Thanks ever so much again. Please join us again live at 8 o'clock next week, where we'll unleash some more Ox Sports. We'll see you soon.
Bye for now.